VR, it's great to meet you.
How you doing, Scott? Great to meet you.
Hey, likewise, it means a lot. Good to see you. I was a big fan of you as a fan.
I appreciate it.
As a
I do
player.
appreciate that.
Hey, I wanted to ask you just about Jordan Seaton. Obviously, who seems to be obviously the leader in that room, even as a young kind of sophomore. What have you kind of seen from him? Just kind of your first impressions, kind of being around him, and what do you kind of see as his potential working under this staff and continuing to grow?
What I can tell you is that age does not necessarily determine maturity. He's a very mature young man. He's always asking questions. He wants to improve. And so what is very interesting to me is that he's created this atmosphere of wanting feedback for every single thing he does. Most people thinking of it as attention, but no, he's looking to make sure it's correct. And I have to appreciate that about him. And I enjoy it about him every single day.
Hey, Coach. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir. You didn't give me your name.
Jake Schwann, it's DMVR.
How you doing, Jake?
Good. Doing well. Just for you, coming back to this program, what are the differences that you've seen in the time that Coach Prime has been here and, just being back in this building and really taking it in for yourself?
Well, the first thing is the indoor. We didn't have one, so that's a major improvement. I'm so happy, that they have an indoor here. The attitude, the approach to being a professional at practice and in your personal life, the way that he tries to motivate the young men to be the best versions of themselves. So it's very important to not only coach the athlete but develop the man. I think if you develop the man, you'll get way more in return from the athlete.
Hi, Coach. Adam Munster, Tiger 24/7 Sports. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Adam.
Kind of building off Jake's question there. Did you ever think you would come back to Boulder? And what is it about this place that makes it special to you?
Well, I will tell you, did I think? I did not. I did not think that it was going to happen the way that it happened, but God always has a plan of how he wants to work things out. It's always been a special place for me. It was a school that I chose because it was the right school for me. And it's continued to be the right place for me, even coming back to visiting old teammates and things of that nature. So it's always been a special place for me. And that was because of what they did for me as a young graduate and making sure that I went through the program and I became the man that I needed to be.
David Upton with The Athletic. Two questions for you. First off, what were the key questions that Dion had for you when you were interviewing for this job? And two, I'm sure you've paid attention to kind of the last 2 years in the program from the outside and now being on the inside. What are the things that you've learned about how this program operates that you didn't know?
Okay, well, key questions that he asked me, I think he was more interested in the development of the athletes. What are you going to do to develop them? How are you going to relate to them? What are you going to do to get this person from point A to point B? And it's been a passion of mine to develop people around me. And so I think that's what he was really interested in, and that's what I really focused on. As far as the changes, your second question was the changes to the program?
No, just having watched the last
Okay.
2 years from the outside and now being on the inside, what are the things that you've learned about being inside that you didn't know?
These guys are hungry. These guys are hungry. They're looking for the right picture for what it looks like for them to achieve what they really can achieve. They need to be pushed. They need to be loved on. They need to be groomed and matured. They need to be transitioned and developed into what they're going to be, and to really look at that picture to try to figure out how to get there. And what I think they're doing now, and what I know they're doing, is they're really approaching it step by step. And every person that's around them winds up giving them some type of information or knowledge for them to go along their way.
Two more, Brian, go ahead. Hey, Coach. Brian Howell, the Daily Camera. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Brian.
Working with Gunnar and also George, how is that working? Like, do you have specific positions you're working on, or is it kind of a group effort?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. So, of course, I played center, I played guard. They'll ask me questions about how I approached it, what I did, how I developed, as well as George playing tackle and guard as well, and then Gunnar having the knowledge of the offense and the ins and outs. So we get together collectively and we talk out, work out the plan so that the guys develop and that we're not missing anything. So it's been working great.
And then just a quick follow-up to that. What's the benefit of having the three of you there because it's such a big group, that offensive line group, but having three of you there that can focus on this group?
I think what's the big thing about the group, or the big thing about having the three guys in that room, is the fact that each player can find someone to go to get information. We're all saying the same thing, which is the most important factor. But it's hard to have one guy with 16 guys and 16 guys needing to talk to one guy. It's much easier to have three guys in a room that equally get along with each other and want the best thing and want this program to be great. And now these guys can talk to each coach individually, and we can all get on the same page.
Last one, Mark, go ahead.
Andre, I don't know if you know, but Coach Barnett this year's going to do his 10th year in the booth broadcasting with us. So
Really?
I'm wondering, can you give us a good Gary Barnett anecdote maybe that he wouldn't want any of us to know from your playing days with Coach Barnett?
I will give you the first Coach Barnett story. There's some private stories that we'll talk about off camera that we'll get that addressed. One of the great stories from Coach Barnett was that he came in and he talked about RTD, which of course we know is the ride to Denver. So in the team meeting, he asked Doc Crease, like, Doc, what does RTD mean? He said, the ride to Denver. He said, no, return to dominance. He said, oh, but you can ride to Denver too as well. But Coach Barnett was really good about the end of the week before we got ready for the game, bringing certain guys in a room, the team room, and we would visualize our success of what we were going to do the next day. The first time he did, we thought he was crazy. Like, why are we sitting in the room with a candle burning, and what is this dude asking us to do? Like, we feel like this is something wrong. But as we kept doing the process and we kept going through it, we started to see and envision certain things that were going to happen on the field, and it wound up working for us. So you visualize it, you thought about every single detail that was going to happen in the game, and then when you went out to the game, it just felt like it was normal. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.